Go
All
for
right,
it.
we're recording.
So I could just go off on you guys real
We're
quick.
recording. All right. Are we ready to get the show on the
We
road?
are. I
Boom.
think it's been a great week, and we're excited. There's a lot going on, especially today. A lot of announcements today, guys.
Ooh.
But let's start with, and
Well,
I'm
welcome back.
excited. This
Welcome back to the Secret Hideout podcast, everyone.
Yeah.
We are your hosts, Joshua Roman, Sexy Stash Jordan Acosta, and the yours truly. I'm finally here on time, so
Yeah, Josh was late this time.
Yeah.
So Simon
I was
gets
100%
to gloat, have a little victory lap here. Yeah.
But,
enjoy it, Simon.
thank you, Jupiter7, for that awesome intro music. It just makes it 10 times better, our podcast, so we appreciate you. Why don't we begin? And we got a new host for this segment. It has been just Jordan and myself for Is This Cinema?
Right.
Is This Cinema? But we got Josh watching the latest movie and we want him to talk about it.
Yes.
So go for it.
And boy, let me tell you, this is cinema, you guys. This is probably the most intelligent thing I've seen all year. Because I haven't watched anything this year other than this family-friendly
This is
movie.
the best movie you've seen all year of 2023. It's going right to the top of your top 10 list.
Now I know why Simon picked what was it, Jurassic World as his top 5, or
Right.
top 10, because
It
he
wasn't
didn't
top
watch
5.
anything.
It was like 7 or 8. But still, okay, I concede. It's phenomenal.
Why are you trying? Yeah, stop trying to defend it. It
It was
doesn't help.
so choice. It was so cinema. Jurassic Park combination. Love
Well,
it.
okay. What movie is cinema today, though? Josh, what movie?
Today, I'm not going to say it's cinema. It was fun. Okay, it was fun. The story was weak. Wasn't a strong storyline, but it did hit the feels. It was just an Italian man or Italian brothers who were down and out and the runt of the litter in the family, trying to make a name for themselves. No one believed in them. And they had to, dag nabbit, they had to make a name for their own selves. They had to let their peacock feathers show and let them fly. I totally butchered that. But
It's fine. I got it.
So we're talking about Super Mario Bros.
Yeah,
Just to
Italian
be-
peacocks. That's what they are. Italian.
Yeah,
peacocks.
nothing to
I
do
get
with
it.
peacocks.
it was a bad movie reference. But it was fun. My son was at the edge of his seat throughout the whole thing. As you could see throughout the trailers, cameos galore, Easter eggs galore. If you played any Mario game, any franchise of Mario, then you are going to be happy about it. There was Mario World, original Super Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, Mario Sunshine, anything you imagine it was in there. And I think because of that, they crammed so much in there. The story was kind of lacking, but with its animation, and all those action scenes, I really didn't care. I wasn't looking when I seen this trailer. I wasn't thinking to myself, "Oh, this is going to be a critically acclaimed. This is going to be on Jordan's secret special streaming network. What is it called? Criterion."
You don't think they're going to
Criterion.
put this in the Criterion collection?
I doubt
sure?
they will. I
I
highly
don't
doubt
know.
it.
It's just a huge cultural moment. It could be impactful.
But you know what? You're right. It is because it knew what it was. It wasn't anything. It wasn't this deep story, but it just really punched hard on all the action scenes, and you felt good about it. It was a good versus bad. They didn't try to make Bowser an anti-hero. He was a villain. He was a straight-up villain. He had bad intentions through and through. So that's what I wanted.
We don't learn about we don't finally get to discover Bowser's motivations for why he turned to villainy, like his tragic backstory. No.
Yeah, no. He at the end of the day, he wanted to marry Princess Peach no matter what. Like, there was no consent. It was like, you're gonna be mine, and I want you. And that was it. He's like, I'll destroy everything to get you.
Wow.
That was it. But I had fun, man. I had a lot of fun. My son was there. His friends were there, and they're talking throughout the whole movie. And at first, I started getting nervous, but then all the other 200 kids at the movie, they were talking during the whole thing too. So I was like,
Right.
you know what, just let it be. And I enjoyed it. So,
Nice.
is it cinema? No, but I had a blast, a damn good time.
Good.
All right.
Hey, I have a question for you, Joshua.
Yeah.
Did it bother you the voices like Charlie Day and Chris Pratt's voice? Like there was a lot of kind of like a lot of not controversy, but there was some folks is like, why don't you make them sound more Italian and whatnot? Was it like what did you think about the voice casting of this film?
So either they anticipated it, and they like the first 2 minutes of the movie they explained everything, or they heard all the critiques and like, okay, we need to make a special edit and
Okay.
enter it. Either way, they answer the question.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys want to ruin it for you guys, but
Oh God, no spoilers, please. I'd hate to have the lore of the Super Mario Brothers movie ruined for me. Oh man.
in that case, yeah, it was all like they're thick. They have a thick Italian accent in this commercial, and you're like, oh, that's the moral we want. And then after they're like, yeah, no, that's not us. That's just a shtick so that people can love us, you know. And he does have a little Brooklyn Italian accent the rest of the movie.
He's Italian American.
So,
He's like
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have that New York, Brooklyn Italian accent.
Nice.
And so a cool cameo, not the original because there was no, but the guy who does Super Mario 64 voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard he's in it. So
He's in it a couple. He's the grandpa, and it's pretty funny.
Okay. He's he's actually from Italy, and his grandson's okay.
That's
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Even though in real life the actor's not.
Yeah, at all.
Well,
But it's
based
fun.
on
You
based
guys
on all
will
the box
enjoy it.
office numbers, it's not making a lot of money in Italy. But what are you gonna do? This is doomed from
It's
the
doing
start.
really good. Like Thursday, I think it made like $40 million in one day, or
Yeah.
Wednesday, whenever it came out.
It's supposed to be on
So
track
it's-
for like 50 million today or something.
Oh yeah, it's gonna kill.
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because dude, this is making so much money. It's gonna make all the money. And I think there's a couple of there are two interesting things about this though. You'll notice that China, not so great. I was reading about this because I guess, and I mean it makes sense, but China doesn't have a deep history of video games. Like these are luxury items that people in China didn't really get their hands on until relatively recently compared to the rest of the world. But also a lot of people online, I don't know how true this is, but a lot of people online who are from like Asia have commented on various Reddit threads. I mean, it's like, yeah, like there's just not a lot of great history between like China and Japan. So like Nintendo is not as popular there as it is in many other places. But the other thing is Mexico. You'll notice it's at the top of the list of non-US markets, right? I just want to call it out because I think a lot of people may not know if they're not familiar with like Mexican culture. Because I think most people, when they think of like weebs, they think of the United States and like dorky white kids liking anime. Dude, Mexico is like weeb nation, dude. Like Mexico loves anime and they love video games, and it's not that surprising. But dude, 10 million in Mexico alone is really good. That's a market that's a tiny fraction the size of the United States, but this is going to do huge numbers like all over the world, right? And it's crazy to think that Chris Pratt, the guy that we all got to know as like sort of the schlub Andy on Parks and Recreation, is now led 4 different franchises if you count the Lego movie, right? So Guardians of the Galaxy, Lego movie, Simon's favorite movie series, and now this one. And this one's making so much money, they're going to make as many of these as they possibly can. So he will be back for at least 2 more of these things, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Like, is this... I mean, looking at these numbers, are you excited to see more of this kind of stuff?
I am. I think they knew the audience they were going for. It was very young kids. And it was like a perfect storm, right? Because like everyone's adults now who played the game, so they wouldn't mind taking their kids to see it. And I caught myself like 10 times saying, "Oh, Justice, you know who that is?" And sharing, who these old school characters are to him.
Mm.
Perfect movie. My only take is I think Marvel did this early on to create their studio. They
Yep.
sold like their Spider-Man rights, their X-Men rights, so they could build their studio. They eventually acquired them later, but I wonder if there's some stipulation to Nintendo getting Mario back once their studio's up, or if there's partial rights.
Well, that
That's my more concern because I want to know what they gave, to get the studio.
so this is Illumination, right? And known for like what, Minions. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And yeah,
now I'm sure they're happy to see this because like they could end up having the biggest animated movie in the world in terms of box office, which definitely doesn't look good on Disney.
Nope.
Because that's supposed to be Disney's thing. But also, so this is good for Mario, and they could make like two more of these and continue to make billions of dollars. I wonder if Illumination is the studio you would look to though to make like Zelda, right? Like that's where I would get a little concerned. Is like this is not a studio known for like their breadth. This is not Pixar, right? It's Illumination. They make fun movies for kids. That's what they do. So I do wonder like, is this the beginning of a long successful partnership, or is this like they're going to make a couple movies? But then does Nintendo need to move on to different studios if they want to really get the best out of things like Metroid, right? Or any of their other franchises that aren't so kid oriented?
We talked about maybe them, and I think you alluded to it, Josh, right now, but that they maybe if whatever it happens, maybe they're thinking of creating their own studio. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I'm happy with this news. One, because hopefully we will get to see potentially a Metroid movie or a Zelda movie because of it. Like, oh yeah, it made so much money. I think there would be some popularity or some interest, huge interest to have those potential. I'm excited about that. That's what I'm excited about. Two is look, you nailed it, Jordan. Um, I think this is valid competition now for Disney. Disney needs to wake up here. For seriously, they need to wake up and say, "Hey, look, we're not the go-to animation studio anymore." And
Right.
Illumination doing doing great. Now I was
And
gonna ask, yeah, go ahead,
Sony
go ahead.
too, right? Like in terms of like,
Yep,
because there's box office and there's also quality.
right,
And like, what animated stuff you've been most excited about over the last few years? I can't think of anything from like Disney,
right.
right?
No, you're right.
Sony, sure. Spider Verse, sure. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, this is supposed to be their bread and butter, you know.
Yep, exactly. And like I just hope that maybe this would be the market, helping Disney like realize, hey, you know what? We really need to get our act together. I'm not saying go back to 2D animation, but what I'm saying is like, hey, yeah, invest in the very thing that started off your company.
And
So
before we forget, it's worth noting Illumination is co-owned by Universal.
okay, well yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Co-owned by Universal Pictures, a division of Comcast through its wholly owned subsidiary NBC Universal. So blah, blah, blah. But Universal, which
Yeah.
means that Sony and Universal both now have a strong entry in animation to rival Disney when
right.
Disney should not have given them the opportunity
Yeah.
to do that.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And the fact that you can have in the same studio or in the same kind of umbrella companies or partnership where like you have something like Across the Spider-Verse that's coming out in June, and you have something like this. Like the animation quality, the animation styles are so different.
Right.
It seems like they're in two different studio companies, but like it's all under this one umbrella, and I'm just like, dang, this is impressive. This is very good. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, didn't Illumination help animate that as well? Or no? Am I totally off on that?
I
I know it's
I don't know.
Nickelodeon, but who's doing the animation? Anyways, if it's Illumination, if it's this group, I mean, you have there's this diversity of style that's not going to go old, and this is exciting. This is exciting to get these kinds of movies, and hopefully have a heated competition now for Disney.
Let's see. Mutant Mayhem is Nickelodeon Movies.
Okay.
Distributed by Paramount.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't think I see anything about Illumination.
Oh well, okay. Aside that, then there's more. It's not just this Illumination group, but Nickelodeon.
Although yes, if that movie does well, that's yet another.
It's yet another animation studio that actually can compete, and this is great. I think this is great for the consumer. So
is this a good segue into a discussion about Josh's new favorite topic?
Why not?
Do you want to pull that up?
Yeah, I'll do it.
It is. It's coming. It's happening. You Disney lovers are fearing it, but it's going to happen. It's going to be welcomed. So there was rumors a while ago that I brought up about.
So we're in Jive Talk now, right? That's what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Now? Okay,
yes,
Jive
sir.
Talk. Jive Talk.
Thank you, Simon. There was rumors a while ago about Apple purchasing Disney, and that's one of the reasons why Bob Chapek came back, is to spruce up and fix all the issues that were going on, and make this a company that looks appeasing and profitable to buyers. And so I was ridiculed by these two here. They firmly suggested I was wrong, and that it was dumb, that there's no legs to stand on. And here we are, April 4th, looking at articles like this and many mainstream podcast outlets and news outlets bringing this up. So for me, I believe maybe not. I don't think it's going to happen, but I believe it's strongly being considered right now. I think there's a strong case for Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek? No, Bob Iger.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The
Bob
other Bob.
Iger. Yeah.
You're talking about the former Bob. This is the new Bob.
The new Bob. New old Bob.
Same as
right?
the old Bob, yeah.
It was the Bob before the last Bob.
Oh my God.
Bob that came back.
Yeah.
And no, so I think the shareholders are worried about a lot of things. Disney hit an all-time low, I believe, for their viewers on Disney Plus for all their especially for Mandalorian. The last 2 episodes were kind of their lowest ever. Even though through us discussing it, they're kind of like our favorite episodes of the season. I feel that the season's going well, but nonetheless,
Andor also famously did not get good numbers, even though it was people were losing their minds over it on the internet.
Right.
But,
So Apple announced a couple weeks ago that they're interested in spending billions a year on entertainment, and why not spend it on, material that's already there. They really don't have to do anything other than just add it to their catalog. And so besides just numbers and metrics, because that's a big deal, how much of the return they're going to get. I think when I was watching this one video, they're mentioning if Apple could turn 1%, if they could raise it, their shares just 1%, they're talking about a $4 billion return a year on their investment in Disney. And that's huge. That means they could pay it off in like 10 years, whatever they purchase it for, rather than waiting for a big movie hit to, bring that in. But I think before I continue to ramble, what do you guys think?
So, I mean, I still think it's unlikely for a couple of reasons. I mean, so let's start with this. This isn't new. there's an interview with Iger from like years ago where he talked about how a merger very likely would have happened if Steve Jobs hadn't died when he did, because the two of them were like very much on the same page in terms of how they thought about the businesses and their relationship to each other. So this isn't new. And if you go on the internet, you'll find this rumor popping up again repeatedly ever since, right? Like this is not a new thing. And obviously Jobs has been deeply involved in, well, I say not just both of these companies, all three, because, you know, Pixar, right? And yeah, Iger is definitely like the acquisitions guy, right? Like he's basically built his career at Disney on acquiring IP, right? I don't know. It's weird because, so we talked about this a little bit. What is the value? So it might make sense for Apple to want to acquire Disney, but not to own Disney, but to acquire a lot of the stuff that sits under Disney's umbrella, right? And then they could add to their platform, right? Which Apple TV Plus, which I don't know. Are there any numbers out about how well Apple TV Plus is doing? I mean, they're doing well in terms of quality, like a lot of really well reviewed shows. They have Major League Soccer, which I guess is a good compliment to the soccer show. Simon, your
Ted
favorite.
Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
I'm sure they would love to add ESPN to that, right? Disney owns ESPN, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, if they're doing well and Disney Plus is not, then maybe it makes sense for Disney to be something that is an add-on to Apple TV Plus or a section in their catalog or something like that. I think the bigger question though is like Disney is not primarily a content company,
Yes.
right?
Right.
They run theme parks
Yep.
and cruise lines.
That was my issue.
I think
That
the question is what does Apple do with that?
Yep.
Now, is there potential for them to leverage some of their technology as part of the experience at these parks? Maybe. Maybe they just allow Disney to continue on as the Disney brand with the theme parks and everything, basically as is. So in other words, they own Disney, but they don't really mess with it, you know?
Okay.
But this all assumes that an acquisition could happen or a merger could happen and US regulators would allow it to happen. And I think that's the bigger question. These are two very big companies. And Apple is the biggest, most valuable company on the planet.
Right.
How much stuff can they own before it becomes like a regulatory issue, right? Where they're basically crowding out pretty much any other potential competition in the market because they've got so much money and such a huge lead on so many fronts, you know?
Sure. The one thing that both these companies specialize in are totally different. So from what I understood is that it wouldn't be affected because one, Apple's a tech company, purely tech, and so
Not anymore. They're a content company.
100%. No, they're 100% tech. That's where they make their billions.
They're a content company now.
They're 100% tech. Okay, 90% tech, 10%, but they're all like what they're known for. Their moneymaker is still making devices and having all that in their ecosystem. And Disney is purely entertainment. And that's all it is. So for them to acquire an entertainment business really doesn't affect, or there's no, what do you call that? Monopolizing going on. That's their first entertainment acquisition that it acquire. And probably only after this.
Yeah, so I'll concede that based off just dollars and currency and economics, yes, I believe that Apple has the potential to acquire Disney. But I liked Jordan's take, which I didn't consider, but that's very true. Well, U.S. regulations, like I think that it might be a headache for Apple to deal with that. Two, that was my sentiment mainly, was basically they're not just simply IP, right? It's not just simply that they have theme parks, they have a cruise line, and they've done it before and they're going to still continue to do it. They are building neighborhoods. Like there's a project in Florida where they're going to build like low income housing in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's other things that Disney does that because Apple is simply a tech company, like you said, Josh, like I don't know how well they would manage or how well they will handle it. Now it is a good point though. Maybe they'll just buy it and let Disney run it. You know what I'm saying? Like the same executives and the same management, they'll just run it. That's a good point. But then it goes back to the US regulations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Will it be even allowed, you know?
Why would it why wouldn't it be allowed? What are the regulations you're referring to?
US antitrust law.
Right.
Right.
But
So we're talking
what
about
is affected?
Yeah, vertical. So this would fall under vertical integration. So in other words,
How?
they own production, distribution, right, from top to bottom of all this content. That does fall under antitrust regulation. We're
So
not
why
just talking
didn't-
about monopolies in the sense of they're the
Right.
only business in the space. There's different types of monopolies, I guess, is the simplest way to say it. This would
Sure.
be a really massive, like vertically integrated company that kind of owns like an entire platform, not just so the hardware. So let's say like you've got iPhones, MacBooks, right? Like, so you got an iPhone, you got a MacBook, you get your content from the App Store, right? That content and the hardware is made by Apple. The App Store is managed by Apple. The content made by Apple, right? Distributed by Apple. Right. So like that would potentially fall under antitrust regulation because essentially the entire thing from top to bottom is now completely owned by Apple.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch because there was an antitrust with Fox getting purchased by
Yeah.
Disney because they're the same exact thing. But with Apple, it's not even close to being the same thing.
It's bigger. This is Apple. Fox and Disney don't own your hardware. Apple
If there
owns
was
your
only,
phone.
if Apple were the only phone competitors or
They don't need to be the only. They don't need to
electronic?
be the only phones available, right? They just need to have a large market share. That's what makes that. Basically, they can push back on competition because they own your phone. They decide what you get to put on your phone. They decide what content you can watch, right? What's distributed on their platforms, and now they own the actual studios producing the content that goes onto the platforms. So they don't need to be the only phone. They just need to be big enough, right? Antitrust
I
law
see what you're saying.
isn't a binary thing where like they literally have to be the only people making smartphones. It's about scale, right?
I see what you're saying, but that's a huge stretch for an antitrust.
It's not a huge stretch.
it
This is
is.
exactly
It's
what
like-
antitrust regulation is for. And arguably, even the Fox merger shouldn't have been allowed to go through, right? And I
Right,
think
and
this is probably something that's going to get a response. Like, assuming this were to happen, I imagine a pretty strong response from the federal government at that point in terms of like actually changing the law. Because like, there's a point where like there's so much consolidation. Disney already owns like so many of the big entertainment companies, and then Apple now owns all of those, right? You're going to see further consolidation elsewhere as well, right? Like Comcast. Comcast should not be allowed to own studios, but okay, they do. So like I think I think if this were to happen, it would turn into a bit of a circus on that front.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the outcome would be, but I guarantee you, right, there would be lawmakers drawing lines in the sand, putting stakes on both sides, and would get pretty heated, right?
Just like the Fox Disney merger,
Yeah.
like they were investigated and then it went through.
Right.
It could very well go through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
It like 90% it will. With all that money being transferred, it's gonna hit everybody. Like legislation is gonna get their money out of it. Like some of the things that Fox had to do was get rid of their sports. Like Disney couldn't acquire their sports division.
Mm-hmm.
Disney couldn't purchase they were able to purchase the majority of the Hulu, but not 100% because they could have bought the rights off of Comcast, but they made Comcast still
Exactly.
like 40% owner.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
Now we're looking at a case where everything is magnified by like 1,000, right? Because Fox
Right,
was
and
like,
I think
compared to Apple and Disney, Fox is peanuts, right? So like imagine how this would play out. I think if it were to go through, it'd probably be similar to what you described with Fox, where like they would have to partition up the company in some way.
right.
Right. I don't know what that would
And I
look
think-
like, but the impact would be so much bigger because like you're talking about ESPN, Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios. Like these are much bigger entities,
Right.
in my opinion, anyway, than anything Fox had. So
But there's still Paramount, there's still Comcast, there's still Sony, there's still HBO, WB,
I
whatever
mean,
it's
but
called, Discovery. So if there was no more competition, then yeah, but Apple's still really new in entertainment. So for them to acquire Disney, Disney will be the majority of what they get, and uh, they still be growing. Like
yeah, but
He's
keep in mind
wouldn't be
all
the
the
same.
studios you just listed are also have been purchased and are owned by non by
Right,
people who control distribution. So
right,
like
right.
HBO is owned by Warner Brothers, right? Comcast owns NBC
Like
Universal.
Peacock
Yeah.
and something else.
You,
Yeah.
you eventually get to
So
a point where you've got three conglomerates that kind of own everything.
right.
You
that's
know?
kind of like what our food is. That's kind of what our our food in our bank is.
Yeah.
So why not?
Well, why not? I mean, there are a
Why not?
lot of
Why
reasons.
would they just do this for entertainment?
No, no.
And
I think
You
what
know?
Jordan was saying. I think what Jordan was saying is basically if this does become more in fruition, like it's actually gonna happen. I think there will be politicians say, "Hey, this is enough. Is enough." You
Right.
know what I'm saying? We like it's getting too big, and
You, yeah.
maybe just maybe I don't know legally how it would work, but maybe they would review like our food industry. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like, yeah, this is just ridiculous, and so it's just like we got it.
I
There will
guarantee.
be more intervention, I think, if this happens.
I guarantee you that there's definitely people on like more on the left, someone like Bernie Sanders, who already think it's too things are too centralized, right? And would
right.
happily have much more aggressive antitrust laws in place already if he could, right? So I think you're going to see things swing that way over the next like decade or so. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I think this kind of like massive
No.
consolidation on a global scale. These aren't even U.S. companies. I mean, they are in the sense that they're based in California, but these are international conglomerates, right? These are two of the biggest companies
Sure.
on the planet. They have
Yeah.
massive footprints in every country all over the world. So, and it won't just
Right.
be U.S. regulators, by the way. This was something I was reading about. God, what was it? Um, China. They both have big footprints in China. They'll need the CCP to sign off on this stuff, right? The
Right.
EU. They'll need it, and all of those different regulatory bodies will probably push back on this in some way.
Yeah.
So it would be a
So like
massive undertaking.
one of the things that when I was listening to the other podcaster made really good points I didn't think about is that both of these companies created like these ecosystems
Mm-hmm.
within themselves. Like with Apple, you know, they work so well because they used to just be a phone, right? Or they used to be a computer, but phone made them big. And then now they have iPad, they have iWatch. And if you want one thing, you have to get another and another and another, right? To make this system that works out for a family or a friend. You get, it's hard to have a Apple phone and then you get uh, an Android watch, or you want to link everything up. So they're really works in tandem with each other. Same thing with Disney. Like if you watch the movies, you're going to want to go to the theme park because the theme park are going to have the movies and all that stuff there. If you want to go to the theme park, you want to do the cruises. You
Right.
want to go to their like that Hawaii place or their other land. Uh, Not land, other parks overseas, right? And now then, if you want to enjoy, you like the movies, let's go check out Disney Plus. So there's these ecosystems that's created, and I think if Apple was to purchase Disney and like you said, the antitrust laws or whatever require them to get rid of parks, that would really hurt their ecosystem. Uh,
That's
Movies wouldn't
horizontal
match with
integration,
parks.
right? Like where
Right,
you have like
right.
this complete end-to-end pipeline of like you watch this, then you go and watch this movie, and then you go to the theme
Yep.
park, and then you stay at their
Yeah,
hotel,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
right.
It would really mess it up. So, if that is the case, then yeah, I could definitely see the sale not going through. But the beginning stages are there. Like Bob Iger came to bring the value back up at the end of the day, not to save the fans from boycotting or whatever. He's here
Right.
to bring
He's a
the stock
businessman.
back up.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if
So
we'll see how it goes. If you could bring it up to where it needs to be sellable or at a good purchase price, then
I think
we'll
I
go
think
from there. But
that's the strongest argument though. If there is a strong argument for this, it's that, which is Bob Iger has the magic touch, and they tried to replace him, and it didn't go so well. And we have yet to hear anything about a successor. So what is the plan there? And
Right.
yeah, maybe they think an acquisition would be, even with all of the red tape and legal issues they'd have to deal with, maybe they feel like that's just the safest option. I'm pretty sure, right? I'd be willing to bet money that yeah, there's people on Disney's board and there's like investors with voting shares who probably would like to do this. And I guess the question is how many are there and how strongly do they feel about it? And if Iger were to propose it and say he has buy-in from Tim Cook and stuff, I could see them wanting to move forward with it. That's probably the real strong case, is there is no successor in place. And who do you hire to do this? Like, where do you don't go to the Disney CEO school and hire somebody who learned how to, right? They took all the classes. So that could be a good segue now into another weird thing that Disney has to deal with. So in response to Disney's very clever, almost trolling response, so in our last episode, I mentioned like Disney kind of like pulled a fast one on Desantis and basically took all the power away from the Reedy Creek board that he'd taken over and gave it back to Disney, the corporation. And so this new board that DeSantis put together is now powerless, right? There's nothing they can do. And so DeSantis is basically coming back as hard as he can, and he's hiring all these lawyers. And he gave a speech recently where he says he's willing to find some way to legislatively kill the Reedy Creek deal entirely and then start imposing things like hotel taxes and tolls to put pressure on Disney. Now, there isn't a lot of substance here yet. I just think it's funny that, like, again, like, this is just another weird, annoying thing that Iger has to deal with, which I'm sure he'd rather not deal with. A sale to Apple would crush this immediately, I think, because, like, what the hell do you do against the two biggest companies on the planet if they join forces, right? And even watching this, so this is the Sun Sentinel, by the way. This is a Florida paper, and even in this article, which is not like an editorial, but they're basically like, yeah, Ron DeSantis, like, he's going after Florida's biggest employer and largest taxpayer. Like, nobody in Florida is happy about this, because, like, DeSantis is basically, he's going to war against, like, their most successful business, right? Florida is nothing without Disney World, or at least nothing without the tourism industry, and Disney World is a big part of it. I also think it's funny that DeSantis has decided that he in order to kick off his, like, sort of public persona on the national stage as a presidential hopeful, he's coming out saying, hey, I'm the guy who hates Disney World and I'm going to crush them. Whatever it takes. So this continues, and I just think it's hilarious. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. Like I said, the only thing I think is it's personal for him, so he can never let it go. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how deep he gets into it, right? He's just not going to let it go. And he will follow this to the bitter end, even if it completely destroys his political career.
Right.
But yeah, if Disney were to be acquired by Apple, then this would end really quick. Because, like, it's one thing to go again to try to fight Disney's army of lawyers. It'd be another thing to fight Disney and Apple's army of lawyers.
Right. This also could be like a deterrent for Apple too. Like, they don't want to deal with this, these political issues. So it might totally turn them off.
Maybe I feel like Apple doesn't care. Like Disney I think Disney barely cares about this. They only care because Disney World is so huge. If they didn't have Disney World in Florida, this would not be an issue for them. If they had a couple other parks elsewhere in the country, this would not be a big deal for them, right? They have to care because of Disney World. Apple, I don't think Apple cares what anyone thinks. I don't think Tim Cook cares what, like, it's Apple, right? Like,
right.
Before you got on this call, I was just telling Simon. So for my new gig that starts next week, I recently acquired an M2 MacBook Pro. And seriously, you turn
sell out.
I know.
Sell out.
It's a beautiful machine. You turn this thing on and you feel like you're in the future.
We're not sponsored by Apple.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by Apple. I wish we were.
Tim Cook, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I'm just like, dude, the hardware is just amazing and the software is amazing. And, like, what do you? It's Apple. They don't need to care what other people think. They're Apple.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and to a certain extent. To a certain extent, too, Disney fans don't care if you raise the toll or put taxes on a hotel. They're still going to come
They're
out in
still gonna
droves.
go.
You know what I'm saying? Like they don't care.
Right.
It's us poor people that will really think about it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day,
Right.
people like who have kids are like, fine, we'll go for the stinking kids. We'll end up paying the tax. We'll end up paying the hotel and the toll.
Right.
Uh, you know, because the kids want to go.
You're gonna
So no
Then
complain
you're
the
matter
whole
gonna
what,
get
we're going.
you're gonna get a
Still
lot
gonna
more
do it.
pissed off dads for sure. A lot more
That's
pissed off
it.
dads.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
what's gonna happen. Is those the Disney gangs? Have you heard about the Disneyland
Yep.
gangs?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah,
wear
yeah.
they wear like jean vests with patches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's gonna stop this, right? They're gonna go to Florida. They're gonna start like marching in front of like the
They're
Capitol
gonna they're gonna drive all the way over there in their Priuses.
in their vests and their
And
leather
their-
jackets and
Yeah.
in their
Exactly.
minivans.
Their goofy gang.
Oh my god, culture is weird, guys.
To say the least.
All right,
They,
we can
they're
move on from
showing
this. I don't
TikTok
have any
videos.
deep thoughts. I just thought this was a funny thing, and it's
No, but
hilarious.
this is good because like I don't think DeSantis understands like how deep Disney fans are, like how it runs in their veins,
Right.
like there were like there's these TikTok videos of normal everyday people like me and Jordan. Sorry, Sam, I can't say you because you're related to someone who works there. But normal people like me and Jordan every day would watch these TikToks of grown men and women
Mm-hmm.
crying encountering the Disney park or crying encountering
Like their favorite character.
a Disney character because like COVID kept them from them for the last 2 years, and they're like literally bawling and sobbing. They drop to their knees and hug the feet of these characters. Like that is insanity.
Yeah.
That is nuts. At Comic-Con you won't see us do that. We'll just like, oh, there's Zack Snyder, oh, there's Seth MacFarlane.
This is religious behavior. This is like
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're getting into my territory.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
I'm not
this
even
is-
I'm barely joking. I think there have actually been like books written about how like it's become a quasi religion, right? Like that's
Yeah.
how serious people take it.
People were being banned from throwing the ashes of their loved ones in Haunted Mansion. Like
Right.
that's nuts.
People have tried to do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But they will do it because they feel that it's a sacred place,
It's
right?
hallowed
It's
ground.
like, yeah, it's hallowed ground, and they want their dead loved ones on hallowed freaking ground.
So this
Right, which they don't understand that there's some guy with a vacuum in the middle of the night.
it's just
So many biohazards for Disney cast members, right? So many biohazards inhaling dead people.
yeah. See that haunted mansion, like that space with all the ghosts, like that's actually a black wall, right? With the projecting on it. And there's a door over here in the corner. Behind that door is a teenager smoking pot, and he's just waiting. He's waiting for you to go by so he can go out and sweep something up.
There you go.
That's
There you go. That's right.
that's the reality, guys. Don't. Sorry, Disney adults. I don't mean to ruin the magic for you, but
Yeah.
we all got to grow up sometime.
Thank you. And that's the message of this episode. Please grow up. Alrighty.
Yeah. So like DeSantis really doesn't know what he's up against. He doesn't know really what he's fighting. He thinks he's fighting a business, a company, but at a moment's notice, Disney could be like, "Hey, fans, like,
Well,
they'll
see,
harm
This
him,
is a
and they'll
holy
do it.
war.
They'll harm him. They'll harm him."
Yes.
see, I think that's why I think in anything this was a slippery slope for him because I feel that not knowing the very thoughts of the governor's mind, but like I really think that because Disney had such a they had such a footprint in the culture, like basically whatever they say, droves will believe in it, right? And so when Disney stood against his legislation,
Right.
he knew at some level this will affect negatively, this legislation, right? And so like I think that's one of the reasons why he pushed back. But because of that, Disney is the victim here. Disney looks like the victim here. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, and now he's just this evil dude, right?
mean,
or like for many Disney holy folk, So
That's maybe the funniest part to me is how badly do you need to fuck up to make a $1 billion corporation look like the victim? Like Disney, obviously Disney is
Wow.
not actually the victim, right?
No. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
somehow they are now sympathetic. That's how deep.
Because
we stepped
look,
in.
honestly, if he didn't do any of this, and he would still had that legislation. He had this. He has
We've
the
all
super
forgotten
majority,
about it
right?
by now.
Yeah, and it's just like, and you know what's gonna happen? Disney was still gonna do its thing. It's just like they're not gonna compromise. You know, they weren't gonna like take the Disney parks in Florida and move it somewhere else. You know, it's like they'll just say something. And I was like, okay, we'll still work with you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, please give us the tax breaks. You know what I'm
Because it's
saying?
about the
So
money
just
for
like,
them ultimately. Yeah.
exactly.
Like
So
what really he should have done is he should have been the wolf in sheep's clothing. He should have came in acting like a huge Disney fan and just helped complain about the prices of everything and how it's hard for us Disney fans because we were already complaining about that, right? We just needed a politician on our side to help, persuade Disney to lower. Because like the fact we're paying $200 to get in, and another $100 for a fast pass, and another $40 for the special fast pass, that is berserk, dude. And that's for one park.
So,
Can you
okay.
times that by like 5 or 6 people in a family?
Yeah. So now
Here's
we're
how-
returning to the single issue that Josh cares about as a one issue voter, which is Disneyland is too goddamn expensive.
But that's what we all were saying. That's what
Yeah.
every Disney fan was
Here's how-
complaining about, right?
I think here's how
Is
he
that-
would have won.
The problem
Here's how-
though is that like that requires subtlety, and I think what we're learning is Ron DeSantis is not a subtle person.
Of course.
I think you have a point though. Like, here's how he could have won it. Hey, you know those $50 parking fees? I'm gonna make it so that I demand Disney not to charge you those parking fees.
See, that's all he had to do is be on our side. All he had to do is be on our side, not like, because the thing is like no one can make. It's like having a brother or sister, right, or your mom or dad. Like, you hate your mom and dad, or they're horrible people, but no one else could say anything about your mom and dad but you, right? And that's what a Disney fan is. Like, we complain because we're in the inner circle. We hate what Disney's
no
doing.
outsider,
We don't like
you
it.
better not.
But if you think you're a DC fan or you're a WB fan and you're over here talking about Disney, we'll mess you up, dude, because we got like the all-star
Disney
A-list.
gangs.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this how all those gangs started? Those Disneyland
That's probably
gangs?
that's
Is Josh about to found a Disneyland gang?
Yeah. But like that's what Disney fans are like, And if he understood a Disney fan,
Right.
and learned how to get them on his side, I think he could have moved mountains, right? I think we're given a game plan for the next politician to follow in DeSantis' footsteps right now. If you
win the
really want to make a
crucial
change
Disney
in
vote.
Disney,
Right.
have the Disney fans behind you, cater to the fans, get the fans' ears by giving them what they want, which is to spend less money and have more time at Disney.
Launch your campaign at Disney World, like in the park.
There you
that's
go.
The key.
There
That's
you
the
go.
key.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Instead of being those, the red hatters outside being like, Disney's horrible, Disney's this, Disney's that, and no one's gonna listen. We're all gonna like push away and side with Disney, even though they're bending us over the barrel and raping us every time we get to
Economically.
Yeah, yes,
Economically.
yes.
He's using it as
Maybe.
a metaphor.
Maybe.
No, not maybe. Not maybe. We're not gonna get this banned. It's a metaphor.
I can't believe we spent more time talking about this than the Mario
Hey.
movie.
Okay, all right. So what's next?
What's next on the docket for today?
Well, hey, so Disney Celebration showed up.
More Disney.
Unbeknownst to me, but
Right.
all on the YouTubes, Disney showed up. So why don't we talk about
Star Wars
yeah.
Celebration, you mean?
I thought it was
So-
all Disney because there was
Yeah,
other stuff.
that's what Jordan was saying.
Oh,
I thought it was
okay.
Star Wars, but because there was Indiana Jones. Oh, maybe it
They
is.
released the
Lucas-
Indiana Jones trailer. Yeah.
Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
Maybe
All right.
Lucasfilms.
Well, Daisy Ridley's coming back, so I guess yeah. So that's a thing.
Called it.
Jordan, okay.
It wasn't that
you wanna
hard
gloat,
to call. I mean, it's
You want to gloat for a
Right.
moment?
Right.
It was the most predictable thing ever, but I still
Right.
called it.
So is she gonna be in the Mangold movie? Is that
No. So Mangold is apparently going to direct a movie about the beginning of the Jedi Order, like in the distant
no.
past.
The First Jedi.
Yeah. There's no
Okay.
details about it yet, as far as I know.
All right, so
Other
that's
than that,
dope.
he's directing it. I think he announced it. He just said like, "Oh yeah, I'm directing that." I
They
guess
don't even do it
this,
at the
no, yeah,
celebration.
I saw it online.
That
He literally
sucks.
just said, "I guess there's your scoop. I'm directing that movie."
Oh my
That's
gosh,
literally
that
what he said.
sucks. That sucks. Like
Um,
they didn't have the wherewithal to know. It's like, oh yeah, no, Mangold's gonna do it.
by the way, so yeah, James Mangold is, I guess, the king of Hollywood now because they're just giving him, like, he's directing Indiana Jones. He's gonna go do Swamp Thing for DC, which I guess is his passion project. But they're gonna give him Star Wars. He's already done X-Men, right?
And Logan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did Logan, X-Men. Yeah. So good on him, I guess. But I was not expecting that. Like, I remember when I first saw the Wolverine all those years ago, and I thought, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And now this
The
guy's
Wolverine
just
was
being
good until the
given-
ending.
Yeah,
The ending
like
sucked of the Wolverine.
until the giant robot shows up.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool.
But then, like, he's suddenly the guy. Everybody wants him. They're giving him their most valuable property. So, okay, good on him, I guess. He's a solid filmmaker. And I think this also tells us, if they're giving him a movie, I guess Disney likes what they have with Indiana Jones 5, right? 5?
Right.
Right? Because they've seen it, and they wouldn't be trusting him with this if it was bad. So I'm kind of interested now to see this movie that I really couldn't have cared less about just yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm still gonna watch it. I always was gonna watch it. So, but
I mean, you'll watch
Yeah,
anything, though, as we've established in previous episodes.
Yeah.
Anything except something that's good. Like, if we tell you to
When
watch
he gets
it, you
time
won't watch it.
to when he gets time to get to it, right? He'll watch it. If it's good, he's gonna wait 3 years to watch it and be like, "Oh yeah, that was really good."
We know
Okay.
Simon's a big fan of, like, the 5th and 6th entries in long-running movie series.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daisy Ridley's back. Good on her. I think so when I was talking about this just in our last episode, I was like, they're probably going to bring her back. Could be cool because we actually get to see some of this, like, gray Jedi yellow lightsaber stuff that they kind of hinted at, I was talking about, but they never really did.
Right.
I'm kind of looking forward to this because it sounds more like what I was kind of hoping to see with the sequel trilogy, where instead of just, like, basically doing a hard reset and taking us back to, you know, the Empire versus the Rebels again, or the First Order versus the Resistance, right?
Right.
We're actually going to see her try to rebuild a new Jedi Order with this New Republic, or is it still the New Republic? Was the Republic, like, destroyed?
It's the New Republic.
It's still the New Republic.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Republic that is still new.
New Republic 2.0.
2.0. I'm looking forward to that because, yeah, like, I think part of what I was hoping for is, like, look, we've seen people rebelling against the Empire, yada yada. Let's see some people try to, you know, forge a new civilization out of the wreckage, right? That's a different story, different themes. Could be good. But this is also the movie, right, that what's his name was writing the script, but he dropped out because he said he couldn't figure it out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, yeah.
What is it?
Lindelof.
Taika Waititi?
Yeah.
No, Lindelof. Damon Lindelof.
Damon Lindelof.
Oh,
yeah.
He completed it, but he's not happy with it. And he decided to just, like, exit the project because he said he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure out a good way to do it. So,
Great.
yeah, that doesn't bode well, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. But it'd be cool to see Ridley get a second chance at her Jediism, I guess, and her fixing herself. She's a Skywalker now, right?
Yeah.
She calls herself a Skywalker, so maybe we'll get a Force version of Luke Skywalker to redeem the relationship, because that was just a weird, whack relationship they had. You know, I did not like it at all.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, continuing on with Star Wars Celebration, we saw first trailer for Ahsoka.
Ahsoka!
Have you guys seen it? The trailer, or
I did.
What'd you guys think?
I thought it looked great. It was interesting because I think they're picking up right where the show left off.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people forget about the Rebel show, that, like, like the last episode jumps like 10 years later because Ahsoka and um, the other Mandalorian girl, I forgot her name all of a sudden, uh, they meet up again. They're like, hey, I think I
Sabine.
found him. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I found him. And so their journey now is to go find Ezra and Thrawn. And so I think it's picking up from there, which is where we're at now,
Okay.
I guess, in Mandalorian, which will be pretty cool.
Um, I guess this won't be specifically for Jordan because he hates the animation show so much. But
No, you can't hate something you never watched. So
Yeah, I've just
he
never
can't even
seen
use the
them,
word hate.
and I'm never
fair,
going to.
fair. Okay, so he stubbornly chooses
I
not to watch them,
disregard them.
but disregards them.
With a great deal of prejudice, I simply disregard them.
What did you think about the real time or the real life portrayal of Sabine and I forgot Hera and all that?
Hera.
Yeah, were you excited about that, Josh, or was like, we'll see?
Yeah, because I think they've been hinting even in was it Rise of Skywalker or the last episode of or the last episode, you kind of see the ghost ship at the final battle.
Mhm.
So they've been hinting at this for a while, and I was ecstatic to see Hera because in the cartoon, I don't know if you remember, at the end of at the end of the last episode, Hera has a kid, and that is her child and
Kanan's?
Kanan's, which is the guy who trained Ezra, who was like a baby when a Padawan when Order 66 hit. So this baby might be have some metachlorians in him or her as well. So this is what I think Rey might be building to is
Okay.
This new Jedi Order or this new Jedi temple thingy. So I think they're all going to connect somehow. But Ahsoka looks great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Thrawn.
Yeah.
There's an actor, named Ray Stevenson, and I guess the rumor mill says that he's basically a heretical Jedi. He left the Jedi Order, but you see him in duking it out with Ahsoka. He looks cool. Yeah, I'm very excited about this show as well, and it's coming
Wasn't
out
he
in
wasn't he one
August.
of the Thor's friends or something?
Yes, exactly. He's one of Thor's friends. He did
Okay.
the really bad Punisher reboot. That one.
You did.
Warzone.
Yeah.
One of
He
the
did that
greatest
one.
comic books, one of the greatest Punisher comic books ever, and they ruined it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these characters except for Thrawn. I've never seen any of these shows. I don't care about any of this stuff except we're finally getting Thrawn. That's the only thing I care about. The best character in all of Star Wars. Timothy Zahn deserves a cameo. Is he still alive? Hold on, let me check on this. If he is still alive, he deserves a cameo in this show. So for any children like Josh and Simon who aren't familiar with like Star Wars before like 10 years ago, Timothy Zahn wrote the Thrawn trilogy, and this was back before they were acquired by Disney, and it's the thing that made Star Wars like Star Wars again, right? After like kind of like they hadn't made a movie in a while, and a lot of the expanded universe stuff kind of sucked, and he wrote a trilogy and it was great. And Timothy Zahn, of course, is an accomplished sci-fi writer. Just overall, this isn't the only thing he's done. He did come back, I think, and I haven't read these, but he did come back and write like some new Thrawn books that are now, I guess, considered canon in the Disney whatever continuity to reestablish the character. And I probably should go back and read those actually to prepare for this show. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see Thrawn. I know he was supposed to be in like the cartoons as well. I still don't think I'm gonna go back and watch them.
First of all, they're not cartoons. Okay, let's get that straight. They're not cartoons. They're animation.
So
Okay,
they're
it's
cartoons.
animation, not a cartoon. No, cartoons is what we used to watch on Saturday morning. This is more than that. This is a big story.
When did
But
these
yes, you're
shows
right.
air? When they originally? When did these shows air?
I think Rebels was like Friday evening. It was like prime time.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like 90% sure. We could Google it if we want.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Saturday morning. I guarantee it.
But all I care about is we're getting Thrawn
Thrawn,
in live
yeah.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thrawn was
excited for
great
that.
in the animations too.
It was
Thrawn was
very
really
good.
my
great.
guess is this is gonna be kind of like or maybe not this show, but I shouldn't say my guess. My hope is what we get is essentially a loose adaptation of Heir to the Empire. That's what I want out of this. If I can get that, I will die a happy man. That's all I want. So yeah, I've never seen these cartoons, but Thrawn is a great character. I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad this might be the smartest thing Filoni ever did, was bring in Thrawn back after they rebooted the continuity. And if this ends up good, then Filoni gets my respect for that, at least, even if he didn't ruin season 2 of The Mandalorian with all those cameos. So
It was not ruined, okay? It just it was leading up. It's a story builder. All of season 2 is a story builder.
it was leading
okay?
up to other shows that weren't as good.
Well, no. There was no other show that came up. Okay, maybe Boba Fett. Other than that, there was no other show tied into that season 2 than Boba Fett.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay,
so I'll give you Boba Fett because that was horrendous.
I mean, this was tied into season 2, and it hasn't come out yet. It looks good. The trailer looks good. Yeah. I'll say that much. Good production values. You know, so like we definitely have had some shaky effects and action in some of these series. This looks like it's going to be on the level of like Andor and Mandalorian, right? Like just in terms of just quality, production quality. So that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, can't wait to see Thrawn.
So I'm not sure, Simon, if you have if you have this at all, but they announced 3 movies, and one of the 3 movies is going to be directed by Dave Filoni. And this specific movie is what we wished that what they would do, right? And tie in all 3 of these storylines and give it a strong ending.
Right.
So it's going to be the Ahsoka, I think Skeleton Crew, and Mandalorian. And so
we kind of predicted that, didn't we?
Right.
In our reaction.
We predicted and wished it, right? And it came true. So Dave Filoni and the other guy, the other unknown director.
Favreau.
There you go, Favreau. They're watching and listening to us. So
there you go.
You guys.
Well,
they just search obscure, up and coming podcast.
Because we're the real fans.
That's right.
We know what we want.
I mean, so this is actually a fair question, I think. Are we excited? So look, I'm glad they're going in that direction because, yeah, that's a story we want to see. But are we excited Filoni is directing?
Ooh.
Is he a good director? Like, he's come up with a lot of good ideas. I'm not going to fight that. Like, even though I'm not like a huge fan of the cartoons,
right.
Like, I don't think there's a lot of great ideas here. But is he a good director?
You know, some of the episodes he has directed in The Mandalorian weren't the strongest episodes, but I think even Kathleen Kennedy announced it today when mentioning it. She goes, "Filoni will be directing the movie with the help of Favreau." So I think if Favreau's there holding his hand, he should be okay. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All right, I'm just saying that's one thing that does give me pause, and I'm just checking really quick. So I'm like, what else has he directed? And yeah, there's some episodes of these shows.
I think Filoni's skill set though is that he. No, I can't say that. Never mind.
We don't really know his skill set yet, right? Because even in The Mandalorian, he even mentioned how much he leans on Favreau and all the other directors. Like, he really gleans from them on the shots that he wants and how he wants placements and everything. So, doing a cartoon is one thing.
His entire so I'm looking at his filmography. His live action directing credits are just The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka.
That is it. Yeah.
His animation credits are pretty deep, but it's all television. So it's like King of the Hill, The Oblongs, Kim Possible, Lilo and Stitch. They made a series out of that? Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And then eventually, like, Clone Wars and stuff. So it's all animation for TV. I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see any movies yet. So
No.
wild card.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like I want him to win because I like the guy. And he never came out boasting like I'm gonna do the best. He's just like, I'm here to learn and I'm really leaning on Favreau and everyone else to really help and guide me. So
Right.
with that, uh he's teachable. So
I will say, okay, well,
so
let's say this. It's it's a bit of an asterisk, but there's still a good chance it'll be good with the team around it because it's not just
right.
Filoni on his own trying to figure out how to make a movie, right? Yeah, there's going to be
And
people.
like he's a real fan and
So that's it.
he's an
That's probably why.
encyclopedia
Yep.
of Star Wars.
That's what I
So
wanted to bring up. Yep.
he's gonna want to tie in the more important things of Star Wars and give us not what we want, but what needs to be there, I guess, and really ask Favreau, okay, when do I put an action sequence? How do I do this?
He
And
knows
I
the
think
lore and the world.
right,
He knows the lore
right,
and the world like no one else, right?
yes.
It's
See,
just you're right.
I don't see that as a benefit. I think that can only hold you back from telling a good story. Personally,
We'll see.
yeah,
We'll see.
I don't think that's a good thing.
This is one thing, Jordan, I can agree with you, but I'm hoping for the best. Like I really am hoping for the best.
All right,
Because like this is a big movie, right? Because like
yeah,
what in essence what he's saying is even though Mandalorian, all these seasons are great, maybe Ahsoka could be great, and Skeleton could be great, but if he can't end it right, it's gonna suck
right.
because all these seasons
Build up to it.
are hinging on this specific movie.
Yep.
So there's a lot of pressure.
So let's stop poking at Dave Filoni. He doesn't deserve that. I will say this for
No
him:
poking, no poking. We're just concerned.
great taste in hats. Respect
Indeed.
it.
Yes.
It's good to have a trademark style, and he's definitely got that covered. The only complaint I have about all of this right now is there's no scripts. So this is something I think I really like that Gunn is like, we're not going to move forward with something until we have a script. And right now we're hearing like we've got 3 Star Wars movies with directors attached and no scripts yet.
So right.
And also I'm a little bit pissed off that Bryce Dallas Howard still isn't in this list. Where what the hell? She's making all the best episodes of these shows.
So I think I heard somewhere that when Damon Lindelof stepped down, like it was a huge blow because like they were actually going to present him and his movie in Star Wars Celebration, and they were rushing. The rumors say that they were rushing to have the panel to be this, right? And so so you're right, there isn't a script, but there's like, hey, look, we just gotta extinguish the fire right now, and we need to present something.
That only raises my level of alarm. That there's a fire
I hear
that needs
you.
to be
I hear you.
extinguished.
I hear you.
Right.
You're absolutely
But
right.
would you really want Dallas to come on board and try to fix something, or have her own property, have her own?
No, I agree with all of that.
clean slate.
I'm just saying.
You know what I mean?
I feel like the clock is ticking.
Right.
This is
Where is
she's
at?
got a track record. She's proven she can do this. So yeah, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's still early though. I mean, did they announce who's doing the Acolytes yet?
So, no, I don't. But I couldn't corroborate it. I couldn't see if it was because there's leaked footage of the actual trailer for Acolyte, and it looks amazing if it is. And it's basically Jedi kung fu. Like majority of the trailer is just Jedi kung fu, and I'm just like, this is what I need to see, And so yeah. So, but
Yeah, because that's like the height of all the Sith and Jedi's like abilities and powers. Like they honed it for thousands of years, and they're at their peak, right?
right. And like ultimately, there comes a point where if you're that good in the Force, the necessity you won't need a lightsaber, right? If you're that good in the Force. So what do you need to do? Is just like hand-to-hand combat is just like, oh, okay, and if it is the trailer, it looks amazing. Actually, I'm actually impressed by it. So
Yeah, this was something. And see, I also have reservations about all this because like we've seen the show pony before. We've seen all this being danced around and pranced around and all these great names. And then out of nowhere, they've just been taken from us. One show at a time, one movie at a time, one director at a time. So Jordan's concern is mine as well. Is like we have all these great announcements, but there's nothing on paper
Right.
for any of this, and we've seen this happen already, where they promise something, they show it off, get us excited, and they're like, yeah, never mind. It didn't work out.
So you know what I've been thinking about is like, why do they struggle so much with Star Wars to make this work, right? And I think part of the problem is they try to treat it like Marvel a little bit, but Star Wars isn't, Marvel Comics. Like I'm getting a little tired of, shows named after characters over and over. Like Star Wars, it's not Marvel where like, oh, you've got all these comic book lines based on characters, so you make shows based. Like, no, it's Star Wars. It's bigger than that. Right?
Yeah.
But another thing I think is I suspect a lot of these creatives get involved because they love Star Wars and they have a passion for it, so they get involved. But like, there's nothing specific about it. It's like they grew up watching the movies as kids and they love the world of Star Wars. But then you throw them into it and it's like, yeah, but come up with a story. And now the thing, they can't use all the stuff they grew up loving, right? Like James Mangold really wants to make a Swamp Thing movie. Apparently it's like a passion project for him. And so you can feel some confidence that this guy's going to give it his all, right? And that's like a very specific thing that he can work on that he loves, right? That's a very far cry from like having a passion for Star Wars, right? There's no specific character or story or anything to really latch on to. I suspect that might be the problem is they keep getting writers and directors attached who love Star Wars in this vague sense and then realize once they're in the door that they don't really have any idea for what to do with it, right? And maybe that's the thing, right? That's the uphill battle they have. Dave Filoni, to his credit, is the one guy who seems to have brought a lot of new ideas of his own, right? And and got them working. And even in shows that maybe started out kind of weak, like they sort of iterated on it, got better, right? It's a little bit concerning that they started out early on with Dave Filoni and God, what's it? Why do we keep forgetting his name?
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. And they had success early on with Mandalorian from those two guys. And then they've had a revolving door of other people coming and going. And now we're back to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. they're gonna say Star Wars again. They have not expanded their stable. They keep having people just keep coming and going, right? Like, when are they going to like actually move on from those two guys who apparently know how to make Star Wars? Just those two guys. It's weird. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird phenomenon, but it's a pattern, right? Like, it just keeps happening. So.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of see that. We kind of saw that in the leadership of Disney. It's just like there was Iger and then Chapek, and then Chapek kind of screwed it up.
And they brought that back.
It's just like let's just consistency is what we need, you guys. So yeah. But yeah. Alrighty, so I guess
Acolytes.
that's it for Star Wars Celebration. The final thing in the docket that I have is something that Josh predicted, and it has to do with the Snyderverse. So boom.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that this could be a thing. I mean, it makes sense with the Snyder Con and the Green Lantern stuff, but like, we don't know how much of it is serious, but like the fact that it's being suggested
they've begun the process of acquiring. So they haven't actually started doing anything, but they've begun the process of acquiring. But it is pretty notable that this is something that I never thought would happen, and like, I'm surprised Warner Brothers is letting it happen, right? Like, to a degree, like, why are shouldn't they really just be focused on, aren't they going to move forward with like James Gunn but they're talking to him at least.
Right.
I think the most important thing we need to understand is never doubt Josh Stradamus ever. Okay.
Josh Stradamus. All right.
Wait, say it again. Say it again.
Josh
Josh Stradamus. Josh.
Yes, like Nostradamus.
No, I mean,
Stradamus.
Josh Stradamus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Josh Stradamus.
Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but okay.
It does. And it makes sense.
You get a little
Josh
hiccup there in
Stradamus.
the first syllable, but that's okay.
No, this is huge, man. If it does go through, this is huge. I kind of don't want it to. I really don't.
Okay, this is the real discussion we have to have, because I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, why are they doing this? I never liked Snyder's movies anyway. But Josh, as someone who actually
Opposite. I
likes
do
those
care
movies,
about it. I do want to see it, but I think there's just too much conflicting things with, you got Snyder's DCEU, and then you're gonna have Gunn's DCU kind of
and then the
combating
Batman
each other.
is still going.
Yeah.
It's gonna have its own
just gonna be
shows and
rough,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough for everybody, right? Because then people like us are gonna be comparing, and comparing the notes and saying what's better, what's not. Maybe it ends up being better, like, this competition within itself.
That's what DC needs to get its act together. They need a little friendly competition.
within their own division, yeah. Because Marvel's not enough, right?
Oh my god. So
this is not a good look at all. It's either or, either bring back Zack Snyder's verse and recreate it, or
Right.
stick with James Gunn, what he's doing. But I mean, because like in reality, whatever Netflix is going to produce is going to be during the same time James Gunn's Superman and everything else is coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not a good look, especially where all the people that are dying for the Superman, what's his name? Henry Cavill. Like, there's a big fan base that wants Henry Cavill back. And if we bring him back in WB, and James Gunn is building up his Superman,
It'll
and there's
overshadow
any
it.
kind. Oh yeah. I mean, he's gonna have to have a killer Superman. That are gonna make us forget about Henry Cavill Superman, because a lot of people are saying Henry Cavill is the best Superman to date. I know Jordan doesn't like that, but that's what a lot of people are saying.
It's easy to say that, isn't it? A lot of people are saying this. I'm not saying this. A lot of people are saying this, though.
Zack Snyder fans are saying this.
I'm not going to cite
me,
anybody,
okay?
but trust me,
Zack
a
Snyder's
lot of people.
They're saying it.
Many people have said.
So
best,
Zack Snyder,
the biggest.
Zack Snyder fans are like the Disney gangs, basically. Yeah,
dude, it looks like it is, right? The fact that this has this much traction, you know what I'm saying, is because of the fans, not because of Zack Snyder, but because of the fans.
So interesting note. So getting into the details a bit, right? Because it's one thing to say they want to make 2 new Snyderverse movies, right? But in this announcement, they're saying that Zack Snyder would return and direct them, right? Well, they don't even say he'd direct them, but he'd return. So it's still open as to whether would he actually direct them himself, or would he just produce them, right?
Okay.
Looking at parts 2 and 3, and based on what I've heard about what Zack Snyder wanted to do with parts 2 or 3, how well received do you think these would actually be? Right, because this is I assume this is where Lois Lane would have a baby with Batman in part 2. That was the plan.
I mean, I don't know. I know. Okay, I would say this. Like, if there's some negotiation to use original cast members, the very fact that the DCU was the first big budget kind of showcase, and there's a lot of people that love Gal Gadot. There's a lot of people, like Josh said, love Henry Cavill, and they want to see them again, basically. So just that, they don't, maybe the story wouldn't matter, and I know that Zack Snyder tends to just copy and paste images from like 300 to his movies, or Watchmen to his movies. So It's just like, maybe that's the kind of fan base that they want like the purest story, like they're purist about the story, and they just want to see it in a live action film or something like that. So story's secondary.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So in other words, it doesn't matter what the story is, as long as it looks
I
good.
don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. It's as long as they get to see the superheroes that they grew up.
Well, here's the thing, though. They do see Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Okay.
right?
All right.
She's all so that some of these actors might still be in the
Right.
DCU.
Right.
So does it get weird at that point if they're
Right.
also reprising their roles in Snyder's
Yeah.
movies at the same time? Or do you think this would force Gunn to recast, even if he didn't want to? Just to
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You can't have Gal Gadot do Zack Snyder's and then come back and do yours.
Or maybe it's a
I mean,
leverage thing. Maybe it'll convince Gunn to have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in his DCU. You know what I'm saying? And so like that would
yeah.
complicate this negotiations. And just like, hey, she's gonna do DCU stuff now. So it's just like, what are you
Right.
gonna do? This is all assuming that Gal Gadot is one of the original cast members that they're asking for. So
So just saying all this, I know this all happened. This is a lot, right? So this is a lot that's going on that's not good. It's not a good look. Like this is all stuff that's not good. Like nothing we're saying is a positive thing. Nothing we're saying is a good thing for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
putting Gal Gadot in a place where she has to choose which universe she wants to be
sure.
part of. You know what I
Sure.
mean? That's not a
Or
good
even
look at all.
Momoa, man, right? Momoa,
Right.
apparently he's gonna be Lobo in DCU, and then
Right.
they might still want to use in
For
DCU as well.
Aquaman,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
this is not a good look. So, yeah, I thought WB was getting in a better place with their Zaslav dude. I thought he was making things right, but this is this is a look that doesn't look good, unless we're not seeing something. Maybe financially, it makes sense for Netflix and WB, but in the long run, I think it's just going to hurt them
There's
and what they're putting out there.
there's no mention here, by the way, of Zaslav or Gunn, which makes me wonder, like, when they say Warner Brothers execs, like, who are they talking about?
Oh,
Yeah. See, like
right.
I'm wondering if they're going around them
Yeah.
to do it. Certain execs, So
Yeah, because otherwise,
Right.
like, why wouldn't Gunn be involved in this announcement? Why wouldn't Zaslav be making this announcement? Why is it
Right.
Netflix making
And
this announcement?
and I think Gunn would have addressed this ASAP, the way he's been moving on social media.
Yeah,
He probably would address this. So maybe this is not happening. Maybe this is uh, more of the people within WB that want this to happen financially than the actual people who are in charge.
right.
or
As
maybe
essentially a cash grab.
Right.
Ted Sarandos is just BSing everyone.
Well, okay. So, I mean, this is edging into conspiracy theory territory, right? But I have to wonder, like, is this guy from Netflix doing this unilaterally because he knows, like, hey, if I put this on the internet, all those Snyder Bros, they're gonna go crazy and they're gonna like force Warner Brothers to let me do this.
Right. Right. That's a good point, man. That's something that could be played, right? Because Netflix is hurting for some content that has legs already, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Then whatever it may
so,
be, Gunn should respond. I think silence won't be a good take on it. It's just like Gunn should just say, "No, this isn't happening." The Ted
and it's kind
Sarandos.
of messed up. Zack Snyder's not addressing it either, right? He's like, hey, nah, this is not happening. I already got my own universe that Netflix blessed me with. That's what I'm focused on. The fact that he hasn't said nothing yet, too, it's kind of shady, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of that's not a good look for him and Gunn.
I mean, okay, so there's another possibility here, which is when they say begun the process, literally there was one phone call,
Right.
lasted like 30 minutes. And maybe that's all
Right.
that's happened.
They bumped into each other after lunch.
And Gunn,
Like, hey,
Gunn
hey.
and Snyder were checking their
Yeah.
phone, on a break from shooting something, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Right? And now their day is ruined.
That's a good point, Jordan. Just for everyone out there, we have no clue how the movie process goes, let alone like what any of this means. So, yeah, this is all 100% speculation with no insight to anything. So, who knows? But just that this news is coming out, um, I think this is huge, and this is a big pivot for one of these networks. Um, so this
That's
is something to keep an eye on because this will make a ripple effect for a lot of things, right? Because I think Disney was thinking about licensing some properties out too, right? So that's huge because they're entrusting all these other companies, to take good care of these characters we love the way Fige was.
I mean, it's definitely. I mean, we know a lot of this is happening as an indirect consequence of the turn in the economy and rising interest rates, right? You can't just get cheap credit anymore. I do wonder if some of this is just really short-sighted. You guys could try to ride this out and come out strong on the other side, but out of fear, you're going to try to maybe license stuff out, generate some revenue streams, and then you're going to end up creating problems for yourself down the road. Because this Josh, you mentioned this. This is exactly how Marvel ended up licensing out all of their best characters, right?
Right.
And now they got to deal with Sony all the time, right? So
right.
Is it smart to do that? Even
Right.
if you can generate some money in the short term, is it really a good plan? So I guess we'll see.
Yep, we shall.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. Yep, that's it because I'm gonna go off on a different tangent.
Well, and with that, I have no more tabs.
I love how just yesterday we were like, man, we don't have anything to talk about this week.
Yeah.
And then one night everything changes.
Yeah. The Cosmos heard our complaint and was like, all right, here's all the news.
And if we go back and check the tape, I didn't yawn once today. Can you believe that? Not one time did I yawn.
What is it this time? Is it Redline or Zola?
Great question. It was something that I took at 12 today, and I've been feeling it ever since. I don't know what it is. I can't remember the name.
So you used undisclosed chemicals at around noon.
Yeah, it's getting shady now.
Okay, all right.
I thought we were just talking about energy drinks.
Is it an
It
energy
is an
drink?
energy drink. Yeah, it is an energy drink.
But you have no idea.
It was a new product, so I don't know.
All right.
A new product.
Yeah, it was one of my dealer's new items.
Is this really an energy drink now?
Yes. Yeah.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah, I was feeling good today, guys. Feeling good today, boys.
Good.
There's
Good.
a lot of good stuff, and
There was.
I always love being here on with you guys. I always feel comforted by Simon's face, and I always feel ridiculously horny after seeing Jordan's sexy mustache. So,
Wow.
always in the night well.
It's not ridiculous. It's probably the natural consequence of consequential response. So.
Well, that's a great way to end the show.
Hundreds of miles away, and I still feel the effect of that sexy stash. Isn't that amazing?
See, this is precisely why I will never share this show with any of my friends outside of it.
What? Come on now.
It just reinforces.
You won't, but the algorithm will.
It will find them.
Yeah.
It will find them. It will find them and put them out there and be like,
Hey, Jordan.
do you know this
podcast?
guy? Yeah. The suggestions.
Right.
You may like.
Oh God. The scary part is that's probably true. If the Google
100%.
algorithm can connect me to anybody else, it'll probably figure it out eventually.
It's not even Google no more. It's the AI. It's the AI that's going to be
Bard.
connecting your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Google's AI now. Bard.
Yeah. Bard. Yeah.
Bard. Yeah.
So with that, guys, you don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. Until the next time. Maybe next time Apple purchase Disney. Who knows?
All right.